God, I miss the North Country, no power lines, no dead-end streets. Mother Nature waits for me back in the North Country.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming along on another Northwoods Ramble. I'm Seeley Dave, your Hyperborean reporter, coming to you once again from my little log cabin office at the base of the Hollywood Hills, just outside bustling downtown Seeley, Wisconsin. Seeley is located on the banks of the beautiful Namakagon River and home to the Leonard Lodge, where you can look at the Namakagon out your window, and you can walk across the parking lot to the Sawmill Saloon, where you can get yummy fish fries or prime rib on Saturday evenings, and of course, delicious old fashions. The delicious old fashions at the Sawmill Saloon, whether you get them sweet, press, or sour, are all finished with a few dashes of regret, and you can get a latte there, but it's going to be served cold in a blue can. Anyway, thanks for coming along on another ramble with me, and I'm coming to you solo today. No TJ. He is hard at work at the Berkey Trail Run this weekend, and last weekend he was hard at work on the Chequamegon Mountain Bike Festival, as was I and my wife, who sells all the merchandise for the Chequamegon Festival here, and she also sells it up at Lutz and 99er. But so it was a great race weekend. The Lifetime Grand Prix was here. There were some really cool pros in town. They put on quite a show with I think it was a 7-up sprint finish in the men's. I unfortunately was out on the course working and following. One of my jobs is to clear the aid stations, so I drive a big U-Haul after the race goes through, and I pick up all the stuff, all the messy things after the volunteers pack them up, and load up a U-Haul and clear all the aid stations following the race. So I didn't get to see the finish. I did get to see the men's podium. I didn't see the women's podium, but I got to see the men's podium. And this was the first race in the Lifetime Grand Prix Series that Keegan did not win. Keegan Swenson was second. And Alexi Vermeulen, racer from Michigan, he got first. And third was a Durango-tang, Cole Payton. Cole's 25 years old. I think he's originally from Washington, but he now lives in Durango, Colorado, as does Payson McKelvin. I saw him. I think he was fourth place. He has the Adventure Stash podcast. Probably many of you listen to that. It's a great podcast. If you haven't, check it out, the Adventure Stash. But so I did get to chat with a couple of the pros. I saw Lachlan. I didn't talk to him this year, but I saw him and Lachlan Martin. I did talk to Payson and then Cole, the second place finisher. He was talking to my wife the day before, I think, at the inside the Berkey Start building where the merch is all set up and all the Lifetime officials are and stuff. And he was chatting with my wife, and she mentioned that I used to guide mountain bike trips in Durango, and so we were both, my wife and I were both standing watching the men's podium presentation, and just before, or maybe it was after he got off the podium, Cole came over and said hi to my wife, and then actually said hi to me and said, hey, I guess you used to guide trips. So so that was kind of cool to chat with Cole, a new Durango-tang, and that he actually reached out to me. I was a little starstruck, although he looks like he's 12 years old. He's 25, but I'm just old, I guess. Everybody looks young to me. But so anyway, it was a great race. There were some course changes this year. Peter Spencer, the guy who runs the Chequamegon Mountain Bike Festival, he asked me, I do the GPS work for the course, and he asked me to combine the finish of the long course with the finish of the short and fat so that there's no confusion. Last year, the two go very close to each other, and last year a bunch of people took a wrong turn despite it being really well signed. A bunch of people took a wrong turn on the long course and ended up on the short course and then had to backtrack. So anyway, he asked me to see if I could figure out a way so that didn't happen again. And So what we did was we combined the finish of the long course with the short and fat course, so they both had the same finish. That added 500 so feet of climbing right at the end of the race. I got an earful from my buddies on my old race team who were staying with me about adding climbing right at the end. It also added a couple miles to the course compared to last year. I think last year we were just under 40 miles, and this year most of the distances that I saw people finishing were like 41.9 or 41.2, 41.5, somewhere in there. I had 41.9 according to the Ride with GPS, and last year I think I had 39.7. So anyway, you can blame Peter for that. I just do what I'm told. We had to take out Lake Helene section as well. So I also got some complaints from my buddies about removing a flat gravel section and adding hilly, grassy sections at the end. So they felt like it removed an area where they could get a breather. I talked to some other racers though, and they said, hey, it's a race. Ideally, I'm not taking a breather anywhere. I'm going flat out it's basically a sprint for 40 miles. So they didn't mind, but I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, or you can shoot me an email at upnorthforgood@gmail.com, or leave a comment below the YouTube video about what you think about that finish. And we'll see what happens next year. Anyway, with that, hopefully, with that done and the Berkey Trail Run this weekend done, hopefully TJ will be back on board and have an update on the new Trek Trails powered by OTM at Mount Telemark. I know they've been working hard on them. They've been capping everything with clay that they've been mining. The soil is so sandy here that building those trails, they need to be reinforced with clay or they kind of can wash away. So they've been doing that, and I think they're going to have another blue done and another green done, and they look pretty cool. I got to pre-ride some unfinished sections of them with my friends the last time they were up here, the day before the race. So hopefully TJ's back next episode with some update on those trails. And then I do apologize for the gap, and it's been about a month, but like I said, with all the events happening and then some family stuff for TJ and for us, we just had to take a little break, but hopefully we'll be on more of a regular schedule with a show every week or two now. Back again. For the rest of my update on Life Above 8, I have been giving some updates on the flora and the wildflowers in particular. The wildflowers are starting to die down, but there's still some out. The tansies are out still, and Pearly Everlasting, maybe that's why they call it Pearly Everlasting, that's out. The asters are still out. The colors are starting to change. This leaf, I found this off of Seeley Trail, this aster coming through a fallen red maple leaf. The trees are not this red in general. They're mostly in still green and turning yellow, but so you will find some fallen red leaves. So I expect peak colors to be in a couple of weeks. And then this is an interesting plant that I recently learned about. I saw it on while riding Seeley Pass here in Seeley, and it was bluebell lily. It's pretty cool looking. At first I thought there were big blueberries, and then I looked it up, and it's bluebell lily. It was growing out of a stump right on the side of Seeley Pass Trail off Janet Road. So, of course, we're heading into the Halloween season, so I thought I'd highlight a few of the appropriately named wildflowers. And these are, I think, this one is called Witch's Moneybags. I don't remember their fancy name, but Witch's Moneybags, I kind of like that. And then ghost pipe mushrooms, and white baneberry, another cool looking but deadly plant, or at least it'll make you sick. Don't eat those berries. And then we've also had some northern lights in the area. I, of course, have missed them again. I've missed both of the last 3 really good northern light shows because I've been asleep. And luckily we have a really great nature photographer here in Seeley, Paul Ostrum, and he is diligent. And apparently, despite, I think he's about my age, but he doesn't seem to need as much sleep as I do because he's out a lot of evenings photographing in the night. And he managed to get this great photo of the Northern Lights with a meteor in the distance and him standing there, the power of the wireless remote. And made this awesome image. So he's also been out photographing the elk in Clam Lake. As you can see, they're finally out of velvet, as are the deer. I've been seeing some bucks in my area in Seeley, and the bucks are out of velvet. The antlers are still growing. But so anyway, yeah, you can find Paul's photography. He's a professional photographer. You can buy prints off his website and have them delivered to your house. You can get a little bit of the Northwoods, beautiful Northwoods on your walls to decorate your homes, no matter where you live. And so this is his website, paulostrum.smugmug.com. He's also on Facebook, Paul Ostrum. Look him up and check out some of his amazing work. I think that's all I had for update on my life above 8 right now. And with that, I'm going to take us into our interview with Michelle and Dwayne from Pedal Power Adventures. They were up recently riding the Northwoods waterfall route that I developed, the Wisconsin Waterfall route. And they're from Florida. They have their own YouTube channel. Again, it's called Pedal Power Adventure, and it's Dwayne and Michelle Allgire. And they joined me after finishing the waterfall route and took me out for lunch at the Sawmill Saloon, and they even were kind enough to stop by here and do a 20-minute interview with me that I recorded for this podcast. So we're gonna check in with Dwayne and Michelle next. Thanks for coming along on another Northwoods Ramble.
God, I miss the North Country, no power lines, no dead-end streets. Mother Nature waits for me back in the North Country.
And we're on. So hey, thanks for coming on along with me on this little Northwoods Ramble. That's the name of my podcast. I probably didn't even tell you that before I roped you guys into my little log cabin office here. But yeah, so my podcast is the Northwoods Ramble, and you've come along with me. And why don't you tell everybody who you are and what your YouTube channel is for the folks that have seen, maybe they've seen your video.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm Dwayne Allgire.
I'm Michelle Allgire.
Yeah, and we have a small YouTube channel. It's Pedal Power Adventures.
Pedal Powered Adventures, right?
Yeah.
I am subscribed to that, and you mostly do bikepacking trips,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
And you just finished my bikepacking route that I published, the Waterfall Loop.
Yes.
Yes.
When did you leave?
We
Last Saturday.
Last Saturday. So you did it in
7 days.
in 7 days. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. And you didn't exactly stick to the route. Do you know how many miles you did, like, each day on average?
I think, well, total it was 390.
390?
So, yeah.
Okay, all right. So you're doing 60, 70 miles
Yes.
a day or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that? Yeah. Yeah.
Somewhere a little less. Like when we went to Copper Falls, we had a shorter day because we wanted to allow enough time to go hiking to the falls.
Oh,
And
sure.
then
Yeah.
same with the going to Red Cliff we did a little side trip to Red Cliff for a kayak, so we wanted to
Oh,
leave
right,
time
yeah.
for that.
Yeah, you mentioned we just ate at the Sawmill Saloon prior to this, so I
Yeah.
got a little bit of this information ahead of time. But you said you did a kayak trip, which is a really good idea if you have you're at Lake Superior by the Apostle Islands. Like, if you haven't been there, it's a wonderful little addition to add to this waterfall trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us being from Florida, it's something pretty unique to go see Lake Superior.
Yeah.
That was one thing that really drew us to this route, too.
Are you guys where in Florida are you? Are you on the ocean?
Yeah. Well, on the Gulf.
On the Gulf.
Yeah.
We're on the
Okay.
Gulf side.
You're on the Gulf
Yeah.
side. Okay. All right. So yeah. So it kind of has that feel to it, right?
Exactly. Yes, it does.
The
Yeah.
Lake Superior does. It's probably colder than what you're.
Yeah, the Gulf
colder.
water is pretty warm.
It's like bath water.
So in Cornucopia, oh shoot, one dog is barking, but whatever. In Cornucopia, there's a beach there that's. Did you go into the town of Cornucopia as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
We did.
So there's a beach there that is really shallow, like hundreds of feet out.
Mm-hmm.
So even though Lake Superior is always so cold, that beach is usually pretty warm because the water's shallow so far out. So there's and you went to Port Wing,
Yes.
right? You went to Port Wing.
Yes.
Did you go to Quarry Beach in Port Wing?
No, we did
No,
not.
we
You
rode
just went to the
along
waterfall.
Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then
the
we went to-
Valhalla Beach Party route, one of my other routes, is got a side trip to a little beach called Quarry Beach. Maybe I should add that to the
Yeah, you probably,
Yeah, you
that'd
probably
be a good
should.
idea.
to the waterfall route because it's a really cool rocky beach. Everybody's gonna have to deal with Berkey, our problem dog Berkey barking upstairs.
In Cornucopia, the beach area you're talking about is where the artesian well is, right?
There's actually sort of two beaches. There's one on one side of the marina, which is the official Cornucopia
okay.
beach, and then there's one on the other side of the marina, which is an unofficial beach. And we always end up going to the unofficial one just because there are fewer people, and we can bring our dogs, even the annoying barking one that's upstairs.
But the artesian well thing, that was really
Cool.
That was really
special.
cool.
And, yeah, we filled our water bottles there.
And we
of
rode
course.
out along the boardwalk.
Cool.
Yeah, went out to a
Stopped
little
to the
point.
coffee
Yeah.
shop.
Cool. That's pretty annoying. So I converted that, since I don't ride my hardtail 29er very much anymore as a mountain bike. I converted it with Jones bars and all that sort of stuff, and that's what I ride most because it's a little slower than a gravel bike, but it's just.
That's what we learned. It really
Yeah.
doesn't matter when
It
you're
doesn't.
bike touring or bike packing. You're not going fast anyway, so it really
Right.
doesn't matter.
And you have 2.8s. I think 2.6s is the biggest I can fit on my 29er. It's an older, 29er, but so 2.8s I think really help with some of the stuff in the Moqua Valhalla area on the waterfall route.
Yep.
You guys mentioned specifically the climb out of the from the Valhalla pub.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a little special piece that you added there.
Yeah.
Well, it's yeah. I guess there might be an alternative route, but
No, you should keep
No.
it.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
No, I
You need
mean,
to
it
keep
takes
that.
you by the cabins. I mean, it's perfect.
right.
So-
Yeah, cool. So did you camp at Herbster too?
No,
Oh.
we went straight from Red Cliff to Delta.
Okay,
Like-
all right. Yeah, that Herbster campground, you rode by
We
it.
rode by
yeah,
it.
Yeah, if
We
you can
wish
get one of
we-
the lake spots, yeah,
We wish that we
it's
would have
really
camped
nice.
there.
Yeah, it's really nice.
No, the one thing we did was we stayed at Copper Falls State Park,
hmm
which actually worked out good because we were able to hike the 4-mile loop.
Oh,
And
okay.
all
And
the
really
falls
see all
there.
the falls and everything.
Yeah. And there's like 3 or 4. There's Browns. Is it
Brownstone?
Brownstone.
And then there's Copper Falls, and then there's Tyler Cascades, which
Right.
was actually, that was phenomenal. That was
Yeah.
probably a highlight.
Was it?
Yeah.
Cool.
And then you have this other little part on your way back called Devil's Gate, where like 2 rock formations.
Right. Yeah.
This is a really unique gorge
It is.
area.
Yeah, it is. And you made it into Lost Creek Falls, the one that you can kind of go behind by just south of Cornucopia. Did you? It's like a 1.5 mile
No, we
hiking.
did not
You did
do
not
that.
get to that
Because
one.
when we veered off the road at
Oh,
Red
right.
Cliff, where we came back in. We came in back in at Sisquit Falls.
Mm-hmm.
And we
So
did that one.
Sisquit Falls is not. It's more of ledges, kind of, right?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah, it's a
different.
bunch of
Yeah.
shells.
Right,
almost.
and you can hike those. It's not deep and it's not slippery, though.
Uh-huh.
The rocks are not slippery. So I only just found that out just recently. I was up there with our dogs, and my wife and I were just in Cornucopia, and we wanted to stop at the waterfall, so we did. And Lost Creek Falls, we went there first, and it's a narrow 1.5 mile trail in, and the parking lot was just packed with cars. So we've got the one dog that like is a problematic dog. So I'm like, we'll skip the super crowded waterfall. And then we went to Sisquit Falls, and you can hike up and down it, which I've never actually done before, but just FYI for anybody that's doing this route, I should add that. That is a nice little hike up and down the waterfall, because they're just shallow ledges, really. And then you went to Port Wing, right? And is that...
That's Twin Falls.
Twin Falls, right? Yeah. And you found your way in there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an interesting...
You can go behind that one, too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Were there kids there at all?
There was one family that was leaving when we got there, so we pretty much had the place to ourselves.
Oh.
It was sweet.
In the warm weather, all the local kids hang out there, and they swim, and they like go behind the waterfall. And then they seem to know a route that I haven't quite figured out. You know, there's kind of like a ledge that sort of goes around it, and they seem to know a route to scoot up on that ledge and get around. They're really like, there's kids up there, you know, like when I was there visiting, but
because there's stairs that go
there's stairs right on the other side, but they don't use the stairs. They don't use the stairs. They use this ledge and go around somehow. Like, I haven't been there enough to figure out what the local kids are doing, but it's, that's a pretty nice one too. And then did you stop at that store and get any of like their salmon candy or anything like that? There's a fish store
we
there.
didn't get the salmon candy.
Oh, okay.
I guess we should have.
Yeah.
You mentioned it.
But you did stop at the cheese shop.
Yes. Yeah, in Benoit.
Yeah, and you said that...
the cheese house is amazing.
And she was pushing cheese on you.
Oh, man, we were full before we even bought anything. She gave us all kinds of yummy samples.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool place, and it has a really, really good vibe to it. Yeah. And in Mason, I don't even know if you went through Mason at all, but there was a nice little restaurant bar there, but the last time I actually saw the owners of that, they were working at the Delta Diner. And he was talking about how he sold it. So I didn't even know if that White River Saloon
Yeah, that one was closed.
Yeah,
I think it's there, but I think it was closed on the day that we went through.
It might be... I don't know if he sold it yet or if he just closed it. So... As we were talking earlier, that sort of thing with Northwoods, you know, restaurants and stuff, you just never quite know if they're actually open or not, and their hours change from
it's
seasonally or just randomly, and they just close, and you don't know until you show up at the front door. Which is why, as I said, I rarely cook on this route, but I always carry a few, you know, bikepacking meals with me, backpacking freeze-dried meals with me. What did you guys do for food on your trip?
We carried some bikepacking, freeze-dried food.
Yeah,
but we mainly
cooked twice, and then for dinner. And then we pretty much had breakfast almost every morning that we cook ourselves.
Okay.
And then we might get a second breakfast.
Right, and then you go through somewhere where you can resupply.
If there is something available, we were definitely taking advantage of what's available to us.
You know how it is. You never pass up food.
Right.
Yeah.
And then one other question about the route and our sort of local fare. Did you get it? So you get stopped at the cheese place, which is great. Other things like up in the UP, pasties are kind of a UP thing, and old fashions are like 5 really?
Minutes.
Oh, that's
literally, because we had spent a little too much time at the plumber head frame.
Oh,
the plumber mine head frame, which was really cool. That was another highlight. But we literally missed Joe's. We missed Joe's by a little bit, but we found this cool food truck called Up in Smoke, and it's right off of the Bell. What is it? The Bell Isle.
It's like a multi-use
trail.
That goes,
it's the paved path that takes you to Stormy Cromer. Yeah. And we saw that, and we're like, oh, this is perfect. We can sit outside. We've got our bikes. And it was probably one of our best or favorite meals next to Delta Diner.
Did you go to Cold Iron when you were in Ironwood, the brewery, or
no? I think that might have been closed.
It might have been closed.
When
yeah.
Still.
Did you camp in that town, or did you camp? Oh no, you camped at Copper Falls, so you made it all the way to Copper Falls.
Oh, we went from Ironwood to Saxton Harbor.
Oh, Saxton Harbor.
Camped up there.
Yeah,
okay.
we camped there.
Okay, all right.
Saxton Harbor.
I usually camp in Ironwood and then do that whole route, but I'm, there's so many points.
That's at Curry Park, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you're right in town.
That's where we were going to camp, but then we decided.
But it was so early in the day.
Oh, you made it. Had
extra 20 miles to get to Saxton Harbor. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, thanks. I just want to touch base on some of those things, and then you're going to follow up with me on some route notes.
Yes.
As the route steward, I want to make sure I will try to rewrite the route, but this year's been super busy, and I haven't really had time to yet. So, but I did also want to go back and ask a couple of things about one of the last trips that you did and what you think you have planned next. So what was prior to the waterfall trip? Where were you guys? I think I saw a video.
Yeah, we did the Wilson's Ramble in North Carolina.
Oh.
And then the Chaga River
in
South Carolina.
Those are two, 3-day one and then an overnight.
And that's kind of closer to you coming from Florida. It's relatively easy to do. And how are the mountain? They're kind of mountainous, right?
Oh, yeah, very. Yeah. Like Wilson's Ramble, it exceeded the 100 mile per 1 mile foot of elevation. Yeah.
I can do that here, but I have to be, I have to really try. I can put together a route here out of my house that I have that, that same
that magic number.
Yeah, I can do it, but it's really, I gotta really pick and choose which hills I'm doing. Otherwise, it really doesn't come close to that.
It's more rolling hills.
Yeah,
right.
Everything is rollers.
Yeah. But so that, was it sort of park in a granny gear and just climb?
Yeah. Or push.
Yeah. Or push because it was just too steep and rocky?
Yeah.
Cool. And where do you think you're headed next? After you're returning to Florida?
I think...
What's next on your bucket list?
Next year, probably the Great Britain Divide.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going overseas.
Yeah, we're going to try it.
Yeah, we're going to try.
That sounds cool. My wife and I have had this fascination with Scotland and Shetland, and I think because of the British mystery shows that we've watched set in those places. So the Scottish Highlands route is it's kind of on my list of something that I'd really like to do. I
think it goes through that.
That's
TV
included?
Divide. Yeah, I think it goes, because it starts at, John O'Groats in England, and then it goes through Wales, and it ends in Land's End, Scotland.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think it goes through the Highlands, 1,200 miles.
And there are ferries involved then, right?
No. Nope.
Oh.
No ferries.
Oh.
That one.
I haven't looked at that route. I'll have to look at it. But
they have a road route, and then they have the off-road one, and this is the gravel one.
So how many days would you think that is?
We're gonna try to take a month off. Because we'll fly into London.
Weeks.
Okay.
And then you can, in theory, take a train from London to the start.
Okay.
And then ride the whole thing, and then take a train back to London.
So we're thinking 20-ish days of riding, maybe? Especially with the weather there. I mean,
right. It could. It's kind of a rainy, gray.
It could have been the week that we just had, with 3 days of rain.
Yeah, this was a test a little bit for.
And we've had a drought, so we've only just had rain. Otherwise, we've had some super downfalls where it rains 5 inches in 2 hours and then it stops. Otherwise, it's been a pretty heavy drought here. So yeah, you came into just a weird pattern where we have some regular rain each day for 3-4 days in a row, which has been unusual. But it couldn't have been too bad, right? Because it wasn't ever you had one time when it was just sort of pouring out, right?
Yeah, it was pouring, and we hid in the porta potty at Morgan Falls.
Yeah, luckily they have a brand new parking area there and a pit toilet.
Oh.
So we hid out in the pit toilet.
Oh, nice.
For an hour.
Well, not nice.
But
it was actually nice.
It was one of the nicer ones I've been in. So.
All right. Well, cool. Well, I just wanted to thank you again for reaching out to me. You know, not everybody does that when they do these routes that I've created. It's always nice as a route creator to get feedback. So I look forward to you know, getting some comments when you get time. No rush, and hopefully I'll be able to relatively easily make any adjustments. Particularly, I think we did discuss there is one private land issue, and I'm not sure. I thought I had that fixed with the route on bikepacking.com, but it sounds like you guys maybe ended up with a slightly different one.
Yeah, because I didn't download bikepacking.com.
Okay, you just got it off of my website.
But I think still on bikepacking.com, Peterson
It's
Falls
still on
and
there?
Tyler Dells was still on there.
Okay.
And I just found it when I was doing my own research.
Yeah, I got, after I published it a year later or something, like a guy from a local reached out to me and said, hey, there's been a property change here and now this is private. And I thought because it was, the actual comment was on bikepacking.com, that I had actually corrected that with those guys, with Logan and them, but maybe it didn't get switched yet. So, so anyway, yeah, so I guess that's all again, thanks for riding, thanks for the feedback, thanks for lunch at the sawmill.
And thank you for creating the fabulous road.
You're
everyone should ride it.
You're super welcome. And I guess we're gonna fade out. I think I can get back to that, and we're gonna go to camera 2 again, and
God, I miss the North Country, no power lines, no dead end streets. Mother Nature waits for me back in the North Country.